The Tree of Terrifying Silence. Have you heard of the Tree of Terrifying Silence? If not, it's better to wish you never had. In the small town of Pindorama, an ancient forest guarded a dark and mysterious tree. Everyone avoided getting close to it, as it was said to be cursed. No one dared to speak much about what happened there, but reports of whispering voices during the night began to spread. The bravest who got too close were never seen again. However, one night, a group of teenagers decided to challenge the rumors. They wanted to know the truth. That place, with its oppressive silence, was where their curiosity led them to the abyss of the unknown. As they approached the tree, the air grew heavy, shadows moved on their own, and a deadly whisper echoed in the stillness of the night. What awaited them at that tree was something no one could have ever imagined. By morning, no one in the town knew what had happened to the young people. Their bodies were never found, but strange signs indicated that something terrible had occurred. In the following days, some townsfolk reported hearing the same whispers near the tree, but no one dared get closer. Investigators, curious, arrived in the town, but when they visited the site, they too mysteriously disappeared. Fear spread like a plague, and no one wanted to be the next to uncover the secret of the Tree of Terrifying Silence. It was as if it were alive, with a mind of its own, calling those who dared approach, only to make them part of its eternal curse. Questions went unanswered. What happened there? What made people disappear without a trace? Each year, more and more strange reports emerged. Children disappearing in broad daylight, families hearing macabre laughter in the silent nights, everyone seemed drawn to the same cursed tree. No logical explanation was given. Reports spoke of a feeling of paralysis, as if an invisible force were controlling the victims. On a rainy night, a brave man ventured to the tree, determined to understand what was happening. He disappeared, but before vanishing, he left a message carved in the tree's bark. I saw the abyss, and it saw me. Fear consumed the town, and now the people knew that the tree wasn't just a legend. It had something to do with the disappearances. Something beyond human understanding. Something that waited patiently. An expedition was organized by a team of scientists. They sought scientific explanations for the disappearances, armed with modern technology and determination. However, something seemed wrong from the start. As they approached the tree, the surrounding environment grew increasingly oppressive. The temperature dropped drastically, and a sense of death hung in the air. When they began investigating more closely, they noticed strange symbols etched into the tree's trunk, as if something were trying to communicate with them. But there was no time to investigate further. In the blink of an eye, the tree seemed to devour everything around it, leaving them in a dark, endless void. None of them ever returned. Now, no one dared even think about approaching the tree. The town began to isolate itself, with the inhabitants distancing from one another, fearing that evil would spread. Legends about the tree began to mix with stories of an ancient massacre that had occurred there many years ago. Some believed that the tree was the origin of a curse that had transformed the area into a place where death and suffering intertwined. Those who studied the local history discovered an ancient ritual in which the tree was used as an altar to summon dark entities. These rituals had been abruptly interrupted, but some believed the tree had never stopped absorbing evil. The recent disappearances were not mere coincidence, but a reflection of the force that had been summoned. But who was responsible? And what price had been paid to silence the spirits that resided there? On a stormy night, a family living near the tree reported something unbelievable. They heard a series of strange sounds coming from the forest, and when they investigated, they found the tree covered in a dense fog, as if the very air was heavy. A scream echoed through the night, and the youngest child of the family was pulled by an invisible force into the woods. When the parents rushed to rescue their daughter, they saw her standing in front of the tree, her eyes empty, and an indescribable expression of terror on her face. She no longer spoke, only murmured incomprehensible words. A month later, the family disappeared, and the only trace left was the girl, who was never seen the same way again. She was now a shadow of who she once was, wandering the streets in search of something no one understood. Investigations and attempts to protect the town failed. Even those who tried to destroy the tree failed in mysterious ways. Tools broke, explosions had no effect on the trunk, and any attempt to cut the tree resulted in a terrifying reaction. The tree seemed to defend itself, raising roots like arms, attacking those who dared touch it. With each attempt, the feeling that the tree was more alive intensified. And as time passed, a horrible truth spread through the town. The tree wasn't just trapping the souls of those who dared approach it, it was feeding on them, growing more powerful with every disappearance. No one knew what would happen when it was fully strengthened, but everyone feared the worst. The town was in chaos. Those who remained began to lose their sanity, hearing macabre laughter and whispers at night. Many left, but those who stayed sank further into the darkness. Some began organizing a final attempt to destroy the tree, bringing with them more artifacts and ancient spells. That night, a crowd gathered around the tree, but soon the air grew heavy, and a sense of dread overtook everyone. The ground trembled, the tree's roots expanded, and a giant shadow took shape above them. Something ancient and terrible was manifesting, something that could not be stopped. In the end, those who tried to destroy the tree were never seen again. The legend was now more real than ever. As the years passed, few remembered the names of those who disappeared, but reports about the tree continued to emerge. Those who dared approach and survived said the tree was becoming a portal to something much deeper, something no one should try to understand. The feeling of being watched was constant, and those who entered its field of influence began to lose their sense of reality. No one knew what happened to those who disappeared, but the whispering voices and distant screams never ceased. One thing was certain, the tree was an abyss, and those who got too close would end up being pulled into something from which there was no return. No one dares approach the tree of terrifying silence anymore, but what really happened to those who disappeared? What happened to the girl, the investigators, and the town? The answers are lost, and the tree remains, waiting. Some say it's alive, patiently awaiting its next victim. Others believe it's just a reflection of the evil that resides within all of us, waiting to be set free. But the truth, if it exists, remains hidden. And if it were you, what would you do if you came face to face with it? What would happen if you became part of the next mystery? The silence is deafening, and fear fills the air. What would you do? Now, if you want to know more about what happened, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, and share. The mystery is still alive, and the next story could be yours.
Have you ever experienced something unexplainable and terrifying? A supernatural encounter, a real event that left you speechless, a chilling moment that shook you to your core, or witnessed something so macabre it still sends shivers down your spine? Your story could be the next to haunt the world. The most frightening, intriguing, and mysterious tales could be featured on the channel, immortalized for other horror lovers with all the suspense and terror they deserve. Your experience could be the next to captivate thousands. Do you dare to share?